Hello, and welcome to the Techstrong AI podcast. I'm Amanda Razani, and I'm excited to be here today with Scott Wheeler. He is the cloud practice lead for Asperitas. How are you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
Doing well. Well, can you first of all share a little bit about yourself, your background, and the company, and what does Asperitas offer?
Sure. As you said, Scott Wheeler, I'm the cloud practice lead. I've been working in cloud since about 2008, from the very, very early beginnings. My background is in software development for the past 30 years, and that kind of transitioned into cloud infrastructure and things related to that in the past 15. Asperitas Consulting is a professional services firm. We're focused on large Fortune 2000 companies, migrating to the cloud, creating cloud infrastructure. Now that we're years into this, we really are focused on increasing their capabilities in the cloud. Companies now, generally, all of them have a cloud presence, usually with 2 or more cloud vendors. So at this point, we're doing things like making more effective, whether that's cost effective, efficiency, or things like that. So that's generally what we do.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So moving into our topic today, which is how the move to AI will help codify and document security, compliance, and architecture decisions made in developing IT systems. So can you share how will it do that?
Well, it's on its way. Where we are in this AI journey that we're taking. Right now, AI is and has been for a little while tremendously helpful in developing systems. The use cases that are most popular right now in AI are related to software coding. Software AI helps people find basically other code on the internet very easily, and AI puts it together and takes all that information and basically puts it into something that you're asking it to do from the body of work that's out there. So AI vendors out there or vendors that actually do software and security and other kinds of things, what they're using it for is they're embedding it into their products to allow customers to have better responses, quicker responses, more accurate responses. It's basically taking, the old text search, or you think about a Google search, and just making it a lot more intelligent and a lot more appropriate to the questions being asked.
What are some of the big roadblocks you hear business leaders talking about when they try to implement AI?
The biggest thing that especially large companies deal with is the idea of security, right? Everybody's concerned about the AI being this big behemoth that's going to go and find out your deepest secrets and take over everything, and and you have like Terminator or something like that going on. Really, right now, AI as it exists with LLMs, and this is going to change, which are large language models, which is like your ChatGPT. What it really is it's a better text search. It's a more relevant text search, because basically all these models do is break down whatever you give it. In the case of ChatGPT, that was basically everything on the internet it could find that was relevant. In the case of, say, an organization, it's going against your documents that you have internally, right? And it's giving you back the information. It's breaking that down in an algorithm, building it back up, and giving you the relevant information in a much better format than, say, a search engine would. We haven't gotten, although there's things coming out now like ChatGPT Strawberry, which are, these systems are starting to do more reasoning around it, which is where you think of more of the intelligence aspect. But in this first generation, they're dealing with the things that we're dealing with in IT now, which is, analyzing logs and doing chat bots and, helping with coding. That's just this first generation LLM, which is basically a very sophisticated search engine to give you very relevant information.
Do you have, in working with companies, do you have any use case journeys that you could share with us, perhaps?
Absolutely. A lot of the large companies, as I say, that we're working with are cautious at this point. The things that are actually happening now that larger companies are more comfortable with are the prepackaged solutions that come with software. For example, Microsoft Copilot. This is something that comes with, your Microsoft 365, software package that you can add as an add-on. Very good. You can have it go and look at your documents and suggest, how to reword things, or you can tell it, make me an outline to a proposal, or, whatever it is. Those kinds of AI implementations are easily usable, right? You really have to understand, the only knowledge you really need is how to understand how to create a prompt. How do you ask the question to get something relevant back, right? On the other side, there's companies like, say, a Salesforce or an Oracle, or, other software vendors out there that are embedding AI into their software products to get better answers inside their world. So say your CRM data is in Salesforce and they have an AI, solution called Einstein. It'll go look at that data within those four walls of their Salesforce environment and give you answers on your, customers and things like that are obviously more compelling and better structured than, say, just a simple text search.
As this technology is advancing so rapidly, what advice do you have for business leaders as far as how to best implement it, and how do they start?
Yeah, the best way to implement is the same as we do with everything in IT. You really have to understand what it is your end goal is, right? What are you trying to get out of this, right? Are you trying to get better customer satisfaction? Are you trying to drive, lower costs through efficiency? You really have to understand what's the goal. If you're just playing with it, okay, play with it, but don't put a lot of money into that. It's understand the technology and position yourself to be able to acquire it at some point. The technology to acquire it at some point when it makes sense. But if you really want to dive in and spend money on it of any significance, understand the outcomes you want. Is it your end users want to, manage their email or do their documents? Maybe Copilots, it's okay for that. You need a pilot to understand what the return is going to be on that. If it's, say, GitHub Copilot, which helps developers, code better and faster, do some work on that, because studies have found that, for junior developers, people say they have, 1, 2, 3, 4 years experience. It's not really a productivity booster. For developers that have, 5, 10, 15 years experience, it's a huge multiplier, right? So you really have to go through and understand what you're trying to get out of it, what's your end result, and then, do a proof of concept to vet out whether that's really going to happen. The space is moving very quickly now. You're going to see a lot more AI embedded in things. But my feeling now, seeing the market, is it's shaking out where, very few people are going to train their own models unless they have a very specific use case, like, say, maybe financial trading or things like that. You're going to see more and more people actually just consume products like Copilot, whether that's GitHub Copilot or Microsoft's Copilot, or things embedded into software products like Salesforce and that. I think that's really where 90% of your corporate buyers are going to spend their money, is on predefined stuff rather than rolling your own.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing you said too. It depends on the staff employee skill level as to how helpful these tools are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're finding that in a lot of customers, when they're using, say, Microsoft Copilot, they're just giving it to them saying, the sky should open up and they should just know how to do it. And what they're realizing is anybody who's used these things, either ChatGPT or whatever, the first time you enter in, what is X, Y, or Z, and it just has no context, and it gives you back whatever it wants, right? And you're like, that's not that accurate. It's like, okay, give it a couple sentences to describe exactly what you want, right? Which is prompt engineering, they call it now. So, people do need to be trained on these things. People think, oh, it's just AI. It's going to magically, the HAL computer is going to figure out, your deepest, darkest desires and give it back to you. And that it's just not the case. Like with every technology, you have to understand how to use it. What are the limits of it? And then you can be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if there was one key takeaway you could share with our audience today, what would that be?
Don't think that AI is going to solve everything for you. I think that's the key. It's not. It's an evolution. in technology. This is the LLMs are just a continuation of what we have done with, say, machine learning is a form of AI that preceded this, didn't get quite the press. This is just another evolution in that step. So understand how to use this version of the technology like we have in previous versions. Be aware of it, and never, as I mentioned before, never go in without understanding what the outcome is you really want out of this. That's the most important.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott, for coming on our show and sharing your insights with us today.
It was great. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. And thank you to our audience. Stay tuned because there's more.